You know, what if I told you the best way to get your head around a huge idea like probability wasn't through some dusty old textbook, but through a game? Today, we're going to look at how simple play can actually make us all much smarter thinkers. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like the setup for a really weird joke, right? But stick with me here because the answer is actually pretty amazing, and it reveals a powerful secret about the way our brains learn.
That's it. Each one of these things, in its own unique way, is a tool to help us, especially kids, learn how to think about uncertainty, how to weigh the odds, and, just make better guesses about what might happen next.
I mean, when you really think about it, probability is kind of all around us, especially in the games we play. The idea of chance is just a natural and, let's be honest, exciting part of being a kid. It's the perfect way in.
Just think about it for a second. From rolling dice in a board game to flipping a coin for who goes first, we've been dealing with probability since we were little. These games are basically our first lesson in chance and betting and in seeing how things turn out.
Okay, so this isn't just about, letting kids run wild with dice and hoping for the best. There's actually a really smart method behind all this that turns these simple games into incredibly powerful learning tools.
It all comes from this principle by a psychologist named Jerome Bruner. First up, you learn by doing, physically rolling the dice. Next, you learn by seeing, drawing little charts or pictures of what happened. And only then, after all that, do you move on to the abstract stuff, like numbers and formulas. It's a super simple but honestly brilliant way to learn. All right, so let's see how this actually works. We're going to kick things off with a classic puzzle that uses a little bit of probability and a touch of statistics.
Now, if you ask a kid this, they often have no clue, right? Some might even say 2 is a good bet. But here's the cool part. Instead of just giving them the answer, we can actually show them why.
So this is that seeing step we just talked about. This one simple grid lays out every single one of the 36 combinations you can possibly get with 2 dice. And all of a sudden, this abstract idea becomes totally concrete. You can just count them.
And bam, the visual just makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? The bar for a 7 is way taller because there are 6 different ways to roll it. But for a 2, only one way. It's just an incredibly intuitive way to actually see the odds.
And look, this way of thinking isn't just for dice games. It works for real-world data too. So instead of trying to figure out every single possibility, we can just look at what's already happened to predict what might happen in the future. We're moving from pure theory to statistics.
So, knowing this, if you had to place a bet on the favorite fruit in some random German classroom, what would you pick? Yeah, the banana, of course. See, you're using statistics, that survey data, to make a smart bet about the future.
Okay, so we've got the basics down, but now let's level up. Because this same approach can help us untangle some really counterintuitive problems, the kind that even trip up us adults. On the surface, this seems super simple, right? I mean, crown, princess, duh. But just like in the real world, there's a hidden catch here that most of us miss.
And here's the absolute key. That clue, the crown, is only useful if we know something else first. How many princesses are there to begin with? This is called the base rate. And ignoring it is honestly one of the biggest thinking mistakes we all make.
But let's change things up. What if the town was just packed with princesses? Suddenly, the odds totally flip on their head. Now, seeing a crown gives you a 6 out of 10 shot it's a princess, which is a pretty good bet. The context, it changes absolutely everything.
All right, here's another classic brain twister for you. Almost everyone, and I mean everyone, picks option B. Why? Well, because that extra detail, it just paints a better picture, it feels more real. But here's the thing, it's mathematically impossible for B to be more likely than A.
But the second you visualize it, the logic just clicks into place. Think about it. The group of people who do both of those things has to be a smaller slice of the pie than the group that just plays computer games. A more specific story can't be more probable than a general one. It just can't be.
So what's the point of all this? The dice, the princesses, the surveys, ultimately it all boils down to one thing: learning how to make smarter, more informed decisions in our actual lives. Okay, picture this. You're playing Parcheesi. You roll a 1. Moving the front piece feels like the right move, it's progress, but hold on. It leaves you vulnerable if your opponent rolls a 2 or a 4. The back piece, yeah, it's slower, but it's way safer. They can only get you with a 3. That's you, calculating odds on the fly to make a better move. And that's really what risk is all about, isn't it? It's just the chance of losing something you care about. And if you can understand probability, you're on your way to understanding and managing risk. This little game about allowance is a perfect example.
What would you do? Take the guaranteed €4 every single week? Or would you roll the dice for a shot at 25, knowing you'll probably get nothing? It turns out a lot of kids go for the sure thing, plan A. It's like their very first lesson in how they feel about risk.
And that's where the real magic is. These aren't just fun little games for kids. They're actually building this deep, gut-level feel for probability. And that becomes the foundation for all the tough, critical decisions we have to make when we grow up.
So I want to leave you with this one last thought. We all have these mental shortcuts, these biases that can cause us to make mistakes. But just think, what if the key to unwiring them isn't to read another book or stare at another spreadsheet, but to just sit down and play a simple game?